Don't wait till the battle's over. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now, shout now, right now, shout now, shout now. Don't wait till you make it.
Hey, this is Phillip, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. How are you doing? Okay, let's get our coffee. Okay, so this is called Dark Roast. I'm not really sure the brand, but I always get Dark Roast because I like it strong, and that means I don't have to drink a lot of cups. So, you know, I'm a minimalist when it comes to coffee. But listen, so today we are going to be talking about justice and the voice of justice and raising our voices and what that means. In the culture and in the climate right now, we all know that there are so many voices that are out there. There are so many movements. There are so many injustices. There are so many people that are trying to get their voice heard, their cause heard, their situation to be seen by people that can make change. But how does that change come, and where do we fit in? How can we start from where we are? We see the national platform. We see the injustices on TV that are national. But what can we do at a local level to raise our voices and know that even though we're not on the national platform, we're making a difference? So we're going to talk to somebody today that has raised his voice and clearly is making a difference. So let me introduce him. He is an activist who continues to lend his voice and mentorship to the plight for equality and justice, and who recently received the 2021 Martin Luther King Day Peacemaker Award. He considers himself a poet, a seeker, a father, and a thinker. He's also a creator, a playwright, and a producer. Get all that. So join me in welcoming Mr. Bomani Moyenda. Mr. Bomani, how are you today?
Hey, how you doing, Phillip? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you're here. I know that you've been busy, and we're going to get into that a little bit, but you have such a powerful voice for justice and for standing up for equality and encouraging and all of that. So we're going to get into that as well, but where did you come from? Where are you from?
So I'm from right here in Yellow Springs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, born and bred. Well, came to Yellow Springs when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and have been here most of my life since. Been out a little bit, spent a couple years in Detroit, lived in Springfield off and on, but you know, I definitely consider Yellow Springs home.
Right, and now is that why you came back home?
Yeah.
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 Right.
The last place I was living in Springfield, and you know, just like, you know, missing the climate, the social climate here, you know, is pretty warm and welcoming, and it just feels like a pretty much a safe place to be. So
Sure. Yeah, you know, I was born in Springfield.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I was born in Springfield. My mother's family is from Yellow Springs, so we ended up moving here when I was in high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small world. So how did you get from all of the things that you were doing? Have you always been involved in social justice?
Pretty much since high school.
Okay.
Probably the most significant thing we did in high school was there was a guy who came and did some black-white encounter trainings and trained a group of us, 4 or 5 of us, and we in turn took that to like the Vandalia school system.
Oh, wow.
And then we ran a program like in our own school system. Also, it was pretty intense. His name was Dr. Charles King. He's kind of long gone now, but yeah.
And you did this in high school?
Yeah.
Wow. So you've been very involved since high school?
Yeah, off and on. Yeah.
Okay. So now you're here in Yellow Springs, and there's so many things that are going on. I know like I was talking about at the beginning of the show, the national conversation of justice or speaking up for justice is out there. How does Yellow Springs, do you think, play a part in that initiative?
So you're talking about the like an extension of what happened last spring and summer?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I was called upon, when the George Floyd murder happened, I was called upon to lead a protest downtown, or at least participate. So, man, I went down there with my bullhorn, and 400 or 500 people showed up, because a lot of people had seen the video, which was infuriating to many people. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so a lot of people, came together and, shared our ideas. And later on, it evolved into almost like a teach-in. You start having weekly rallies every weekend. We kind of handed the reins over to some young people, and they organized these rallies like all the way through like into September. We went 25 straight weekends, I think we did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with that being in Yellow Springs and us and the young people stepping up. Speaking of young people, how important do you think the role is for young people to be active in the justice initiative?
I think it's absolutely a necessity.
Okay.
So like we encourage, the young people, the youth involvement. We tried to give them as much responsibility as they could handle. It was tough for some of them. Some of them were high school students. Well, the group that started out were mainly high school graduates and college students who were like off, for the summer. And then they handed the reins over when they went back to school to a group of high school students. And when they started back to school, it was just a lot, with the pandemic and doing online, it's just like a lot of pressure on them, but they came through like champions. So a lot of people in the community like are really proud of the effort, that the young people put forth to just kind of keep that movement alive.
I would say because it was an incredible visual, if you will, because a lot of times you don't see a lot of young people standing up. And if you do, they're not the leaders and they're not the vocally active ones, specifically if they're in high school.
Right.
You normally see, even on the media or elsewhere, you normally see college and beyond young adults. With the platforms and having the voice and really doing the call to action for people. But here in Yellow Springs, I would say, the youth have a huge influence.
Yeah. I was asking myself, like, when I was in high school and the same thing, like a George Floyd incident would have happened, what would have been our response? And I really don't have an answer for that. I can't say like,
Yeah.
we thought of ourselves as being like real active and vocal, but as far as the similar kind of effort that, these young people put forth, I'm not sure if that would have happened back in my day or not. So I'm extremely proud of, the young people that have been involved, so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say, even for me, I don't even know what would happen there.
Yeah, right. It's a huge responsibility, and it's time consuming. Yeah, and it does takes a lot of extra effort to continue that movement. So
Now, when we have things here in, say, Yellow Springs, I know that you're one of the point people, but do you work with a group of people to coordinate how all of this gets done or how all of this comes together?
So as far as the YS Speaking Up for Justice movement, it's primarily the youth that organize those events, and the adults, there's an adult, we kind of serve as kind of informal advisors
Gotcha.
to help people, make connections with folks in the community that might come and speak on anti-racist topics, because that's really what this movement is about, like informing people about issues around anti-racism and encourage pointing people in the directions of information and activities, to address things so that these George Floyd, Breonna Taylor type incidents don't continue to happen in our society.
So the goal really is for more of a teach you, train you, and you take it out with the knowledge that you have and the understanding that you have and make a change.
Yeah, so we view like it's approaching racism and white supremacy as a structural issue.
Okay.
So we encourage people to go out and try to influence these institutions. And when I say institution, I include like families,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
schools, private businesses, any institutions who have been like thriving off of this current structure serves to keep some people down and pull some people up. So.
I think that's wonderful. It's like learn to serve and learn and go. It's like this is for you to learn, to be able to ingest it, understand it, empathize, or be able to realize, and now take your voice out and amplify and magnify that within whatever structure that is.
Right. Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, the action part, is just of ultimate importance.
Yeah. Now you're also a part of the 365 project. Tell us about that.
So the 365 project was organized about 12 or 13 years ago by John Gudgel and what's the name? Justin Robinson and folks like that to address the black-white achievement gap issue in the schools.
Okay.
Yeah. And it just really has grown, a lot since then to address like other issues in the area. And one of the primary objectives is to promote racial equality in Yellow Springs 365 days a year. So they've come up with a variety of programs to do so. Like one of the ones right now is like the YS Black Encyclopedia.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that they do Juneteenth, the Elaine Comegys Film Festival, and just so many other, programs to promote Black history and culture.
That's awesome. And I love the fact that the village just made Juneteenth a holiday, an official holiday here in the village.
I saw that. That is like very impressive. I was like, wow, that's great. I know a few other cities have done that, and I just, hope that just influences a wave across the country. Yeah,
I absolutely agree, and I can't wait to see the programming, you know, around the celebration of that. That's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
So you also mentor. How does, if one wanted to become a mentee, how's that process work?
So really, I think I've come to be known as such because of my involvement with the young people of the YS Speaking Up for Justice movement. So anybody who gets involved with that, you know, probably hear from me or see me around, or I make myself available, you know, to help push that movement forward. But there's no really like formal setup yet. We're coming out with like a mission statement for the organization, and there was a member of 365. We actually like donated some funds for programming. So we'll be looking forward to, you know, creating some programming for this upcoming summer. And the youth leaders are currently, with everything else they're doing with school and, you know, getting ready to go to college and everything else. And yeah, they're trying to come up with ideas and then to restart the rallies again soon. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, let's shift gears just a bit. You just wrapped up your original production entitled "What's Done in the Dark." Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So it really kind of, the whole idea stems from my involvement with the case of John Crawford, who was murdered by Beaver Creek police officers in 2014 at the Beaver Creek Walmart. And I've done a number, or kind of led a number of activities and actions, shutdowns at Walmart, protests, vigils, court actions, you know, to try to get some kind of justice. And it's I won't get too deep into that. It was kind of really like a frustrating
I can imagine.
To watch, you know, the pushback and the manipulation and the avoidance of accountabilities. It's really like frustrating to watch. But anyway, finally, the community theater, they do the theater festival, the 10-minute theater festival.
Okay.
So I wrote a play for the 10-minute theater festival at the end of 2019, and I got some people together, and it was, you know, addresses that whole John Crawford issue.
Okay.
But at first they didn't want to do it, actually. Like it was seen as like real controversial, and then somebody I know like advocated for it. So, okay, yeah, we'll include it. And then I couldn't get enough actors to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think there were some roles that some people looked at. No, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I had sent the script to my friend John Fleming, who teaches theater arts at Central State University, and he said, "Hey, let's perform it." I totally was not expecting that. You know, I really just sent it to him to see what he thought about it. And when he said, like, let's perform it, I'm like, well, okay. He said, we'll have to make the script like a little longer. So, but then the pandemic hit, school shut down.
Yeah.
So throughout the pandemic, we exchanged ideas back and forth. He'd throw me an idea and I'd write more scenes, you know. So it went from like a 12-page script to 32 pages.
Whoa.
It went from 10 minutes to about 75 minutes.
Wow.
You know, at the end. So I brought in, you know, some additional concepts and additional characters. and it was really a really nice collaboration with John Fleming, because I don't know anything about production, theater production, or
Okay.
directing, or any. I had an idea of like what I wanted it to look like, but as far as like staging, and all that, it's like I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's what collaboration's about.
Yeah, right. So it was really nice, like working with him. And I tell you, Elias Kelly was the video production manager, and he did like some amazing things, So it was live streamed. I don't know if you got to see it. It was live streamed. It's been recorded. There's a YouTube video out. There's going to be an edited version come out soon, and I'll send that around.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I would love
He
to.
they did an amazing job with the live stream. So if you were there in person, it would be like watching a TV show being recorded.
Okay.
Because you got this crew on the stage, and they're running around, they're moving cameras back and forth.
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah. And I ended up actually being in the play, which I hadn't intended, but
Cameo.
yeah, right, yeah. So with about 3 weeks to go, there was a gentleman that dropped out. So rather than try to scramble, at the last minute to try to find somebody, I said, well, I'll just step in and I'll do this role. It was like a short piece, I was kind of like in and out, and that's it.
Well, that's awesome, though.
Yeah.
You got some credits, some acting credits.
Yeah, I got a little acting credit now.
Oh my goodness! So, are you planning on doing another production?
It's certainly on my mind.
Okay.
Like any. I also have a novel in the working.
Oh.
I write short stories, and I was watching this master class by this mystery writer named a very accomplished writer named Walter Mosley.
Okay.
Yeah, he's famous for the Easy Rawlins character.
Mm.
And in his master class, he made this comment. It said if you don't exist, if you're Black and you don't exist in the literature, then you really don't exist.
Wow.
So in the fiction, that was, and I don't even know if that's true or not, but it was really profound. I had like never thought of that, but thinking back to some of the readings like we were exposed to, like coming through Yellow Springs schools.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the important authors, James Baldwin, Richard Wright, Nikki Giovanni,
Yeah.
Leroy Jones, like those authors really had an impact on me, because, and if it weren't for them, I would have had a really, like, I think kind of warped image of myself, or just wondering like, where do I fit in,
Yeah.
in this society? And then what happens is if you don't see yourself, then you adjust to images that really aren't representative of you, and you become like someone else,
Yeah. I think in the even in the national conversation, there's a huge push for representation.
Absolutely.
And I think that is one of the things, on television, in books, just period. Just
there's
being able
big
to
push for
see the tapestry of the United States and all the people and all the nationalities that are there, either on the screen or somewhere, that they exist. So I think that statement actually made sense, because for other people, when they read things and they look at things, if they don't see you, it's almost like you're not here.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That's so deep. That is so deep.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, huh?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say I can remember being in like elementary school, we were reading the Dick and Jane books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask your mom, about that.
I know those books.
Yeah, ask her about that. Asking about the Dick and Jane books. And
Yeah.
yeah, see Jane run, see Dick, throw a ball and like.
I think there's a dog named Spot.
Yeah, Spot, and we're sitting there looking like, well, where's Bomani? Where's Leroy?
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why, and this is kind of a little bit later, but like when Fat Albert came out,
Yeah.
that was one of the really good kind of, oh, there we are.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. So for people who are looking at this and they're listening to all you do to promote justice and injustice, if there is this big, I guess, cloud sometimes when people just don't see it. They just, even when we're in Yellow Springs sometimes, because we're so diverse and because we're very eclectic, what do you say and how do you educate people when they just simply don't see the injustice that people are either marching for, speaking about? How do you educate them on the fact that it does exist?
So one of the things I do, I have a monthly column with the Yellow Springs News.
Okay.
It's called Sankofa Talk.
Mm-hmm.
And Sankofa was taken from a part of West African culture, and the concept means looking back to move ahead.
Okay.
So I kind of reflect on some cultural issues of the past, and I make it kind of personal. We talked about how some of these issues like have impacted me, impacted people I know, have influenced race relations in town. But I tell you, for the people who just don't see it, for me, I kind of have to rely on the people I know, the white people I know,
Mm-hmm.
who do see it,
Okay.
to talk to and educate their peers.
Got you.
Because it's I tend to get like real emotional, and I'm losing patience, with all the continuing injustice, and I tend to I don't want to focus a lot of my personal energy there.
Sure.
But part of that, the benefit of the anti-racist movement in town is we just kind of like try to point people in that direction,
Mm-hmm.
and encourage people to, deal with their family members, their peers, people they know. That saying, if you see or hear something, say something.
Yeah.
That is really important, and don't come to Bomani or Mr. Gudgel or Dr. Magruder, go look up the information for yourself. Because now there's always that section of people, and we can see it more and more, like they're not going to listen to anything,
Yeah.
when it comes to dealing with race relations, and the kind of people that tell you like, well, that doesn't happen here, or that happened a long time ago, you need to get over it. So I don't have any patience for,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I kind of I would point them in a direction to people who have like a little more patience than I do. Dealing with that, because it's life and death stuff.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
It's killing people. Yeah, people are dying because of those kind of attitudes, and I just don't have a lot of patience with that. And I really appreciate the people who are more skilled, mentally and emotionally, to cope with that type of person
Yeah.
than I am. So, I know my limitations. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
And that's important to know,
Yeah.
I know who I am and I know who I'm not.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, Mr. Bomani, I am so excited that you stopped by today and educated us on a lot of the things that you're doing. You reinforced the importance of the voice. Congratulations on your play. And
Thank you very much.
yeah, and much success to the book. I can't wait to hear more about that.
Yes.
So thank you so much for stopping by today.
Well, thanks for thinking enough of me to have me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, that was an amazing man who has an amazing platform, and he uses it to educate and to inform people about how to use their voice so that they can go out and make an impact on the world. So that is amazing. So thank you for tuning in today. Remember, you are the best you in the world. We will see you next time.
Don't